Hey Brian, it's Craig with Paraglider Service USA. Just going to go real quick on using the sewing jig here for sewing up paraglider lines. So I got a line here that's PPSL 200, and these length specified by Nova is 150 millimeters. So from the apex of the loop to here is 150 millimeters. I make my end loops 30 millimeters on these thinner lines. The thicker lines I'll make them about 35 millimeters, and then I'll make a mark at the 30 millimeter and then a centimeter away, so for my reverse stitching, and then a centimeter away from the end for my when I start to narrow down the stitching, the stitch length. Instead of, I don't reverse stitch at the end anymore. I just narrow down the stitch length like Ozone does. Okay, the first step is I go ahead and have the width of the sewing jig a little bit wider than the parallel lines. Then I'll go and insert them. Find out which side my marks are on. There we go. And then I'll go ahead and drop the presser foot with my knee lift. If you don't have a knee lift for your machine, go ahead and see if you can find one online to purchase, because it'll make your life much easier. And then I'll go ahead and cinch the sides up simultaneously, opposite direction of the arrows to close them up. And then I'll lift the presser foot a hair and see if it moves good up and back. It's not too tight and no side to side shimmy. Then I know I'm where I want to be. And then I'll lower the centered position needle, turning my hand wheel counterclockwise. And I want to make sure that the needle is bisecting the two parallel lines exactly. And then if that's the case, I'll back the needle up a hair, lift my presser foot, move my lines to the side, and then I'll run the needle down, turning the hand wheel counterclockwise. Run the needle all the way down and all the way up, so the take-up lever goes all the way up to the top. And then I'll go ahead and get my seam ripper or any little tool just to move the thread out, because every time you run the needle down, it'll make a twist in it. And then I'll go and reinsert the line. And I'm going to do my zigzag width, so I'll go ahead and select zigzag width because it was at straight stitch. And then I know what my zigzag width is for this glider. This line is 1.8. So I'm making those changes now. You'll just have to do those manually. Then my stitch length is 1.05 millimeters, but you'll have to do that manually. You're wanting like 10 to 12 stitches per centimeter. And then I want my stitch upper thread tension is 6.75 for this specific line, and that you'll have to do by trial and error on your glider, on your machine, of course. And then my foot pressure on this specific line is going to be 28. I went the wrong direction. Bear with me here. There we go. I'm 28. Okay, so I got these settings in. And now that I have that, I'll go ahead and drop my presser foot. And now I want to see if my zigzag width is bisecting the center of each line. It can be just a hair off to the outside of the center line of each line. This one's just a hair off center, which is fine. Then I'll go ahead and, whoops, my darn camera moved here. Let me get it back in this place. It's not taped all that well. Shoot. Now I'll go ahead and raise my presser foot, move my line to the side without knocking the camera over, and I run the needle down and up all the way. And I'll take out the thread cross, and then I'll go ahead and put my line back in and see how it bisects the other side. And I'll bring the needle down and see it's just a hair off to the outside of the center line. That's perfect. I'll raise it up, move the line to the side, run the needle down, and this is the critical part now. I run the needle down, and as it starts going up, I don't focus on the needle going up, but it's the take-up lever. When the take-up lever just starts going up, because it's still going down, the take-up lever is still going down as the needle's going up. And this take-up thread, upper thread take-up lever, I'm going to watch it, and wait there, it's just starting to go upward now. That's where I want to stop. Then I'll take out the cross in the thread, put my line back in. I'll find my marks for the reverse stitching, which are now hidden because the line twisted. So I'll go ahead and twist the line so the marks are showing again. Okay, and I'll get it back in. And my cat's trying to get on my lap because she likes to partake of everything. I'll put there's my in loop marks, and there's the mark for the reverse stitch. I'll put the reverse stitch just at the end of where the corner is there on the sewing jig, and that's when I drop her. I'll hold the thread tails my direction, and I'm going to go ahead. My cat just fell down because I moved. She tries to get in my lap. And then I'll go ahead and do my reverse stitch. And this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. I need to cinch this up a tad. And with I can see that the first stitch, the loop is showing at the top, so I need to pull the lower thread to cinch that up. And I'll do that right now. Oops, I grabbed the upper thread. You need to grab the lower thread. There we go. Lower thread tail, give it a little oomph. Now that pulled it down inside of the line. Now I'll run my thread tails the opposite direction. Now I'm going to go forward sewing. And now I'm checking the stitch to see how it looks as far as tension wise. It looks like the loop is almost to the top of the surface. So that means my tension is a little high, which is okay on the reverse stitch. So I'll go forward with beginning to stitch. And when it starts to get on the home stretch here, it should be just right. So there she be. It looks like where we want to be. I need to move it. Looks like I'm pretty good. I need to move this a little hair on this side. Tension's looking good. I don't see any end loops or loops coming to the surface, showing that it's too tight. Looking good. And then I'll get my little tiny screwdriver ready for when I narrow down my stitching. When it gets to the one side, you'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually reduce my tension a tad when I get near the end. Because what happens is that the core is disappearing at the end, and it will cause the tension to be too much. So I lowered it a couple notches, and now I'm going to narrow my stitch length so that the stitch lengths are closer together. And I'm going to reduce the tension a little bit. And now when it starts to get to single line, I'm going to hold the single line from not being shifted over when it gets to that. Because if I don't hold it, it'll actually want to move over with. There we go. That's it. Lift the presser foot, pull her out. You can see what I did here. Okay, there she be. And so, get under the lighting so you can see here. So what I did is I started right here, this point, and I did a reverse stitch to there, and I went the forward stitch the rest of the way. And then when I get a centimeter, well actually a centimeter and a half away from the end, I reduced the upper thread tension a tad, and I also reduced the stitch length. See, the stitch length is here, just 10 to 12 points per centimeter. You count each side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's how you count them. And then here I've narrowed it to about half that, as you can see, when I get to the end, and then onto the single line, and that's it. And then I'll go ahead and mount that in a little bit. I'll mount the ends of these, and it'll be done. Now, so that's this side. I'll check it over to the other side, see if the tension's right. And so what you're looking for is that you're not pulling the loop out of the inside of the line over. And so you're seeing good, sharp, clean points on all those zigzags on both sides. This has got a little bit of a roundness to it, so I've got magnifying glasses on right now that are like 4 times norm, so I can see that it's just a tad too much tension, so I could have backed off a hair, but no one is going to see that with the naked eye. And that means if this is the top surface, if I'm seeing the loop coming up to the surface, then that means I got too much tension, so I back off a hair. But it's perfect to the naked eye. That's it. Hope that helps.